Good evening, everyone. If you don't know, you should know. My name is Rameez and I am a filmmaker and a film critic. And today's film is one of my favorite films of last year, 2015, Brooklyn.
I have a life halfway across the sea.
Your life here could be just as good.
If you go back, I have no protection.
I want you to stay here with me.
Brooklyn is a film directed by Jonathan Crowley.
Mr.Crowley!
Yeah, hell yeah. That song fits him a lot. Mr. Jonathan Crowley, if you use this as your theme song, remember where the idea came from. This film tells the story of Ellis Lacey, a young woman who lives in Southern Ireland, and she immigrates to New York, more specifically Brooklyn. This woman, Ellis Lacey, is played by Saoirse Ronan. I hope I pronounced her name right. Who is friggin' spectacular in this film and unbelievably good looking. I mean, my goodness, look at those eyes. I remember watching her in an earlier film which came out in 2011 where she was playing a young assassin who was trained by Eric Bana. It was called Hannah, another great film. Check that out as well. Saoirse Ronan. I'm just gonna call her Ronan from now on as I don't want to offend her since I can't pronounce her name right. Anyway, Ronan, I don't know if she's Irish because her Irish accent's completely legit. It sounds real. When did I become an expert on Irish accents? Well, ever since Conor McGregor walked in the UFC, that's when I became an expert on Irish accents. As a matter of fact, I think Ronan speaks better Irish than Conor McGregor. She sounds more Irish than an actual Irish person. So Lacey moves to New York, more specifically Brooklyn. She gets hired there, she starts working there, and she falls in love with a man named Tony. And this is the strong point of this film, the chemistry between Tony and Lacey. It's real. This is what being in love feels. I've been in love twice, and this is accurate of how a couple in love acts. There's a very fine scene at a dinner table of a restaurant when Tony and Lacey are out on a date, where Lacey is stopping herself from talking too much. They make a conversation about plumbing and accounting interesting. It's all very interesting stuff, and I'm not talking about the dialogue, I'm talking about the looks that they're exchanging while on that dinner table. As I said before, I've been in love twice. Whenever you're out with a woman on a date, notice how sometimes she's not talking at all or she's talking way too much. Women do that, at least in my account. Sometimes women talk too little because they're afraid that they might overwhelm the guy, and sometimes they talk so much out of fear that they might bore the guy. So meeting Tony changes her life completely. All the letters she sends back home aren't depressing anymore. She's smiling at work, she's giggling with her girlfriends, all that stuff. I'm a sucker for romantic films, man, and it's very hard to impress me with a romance film too, because I'm a regular Casanova myself. A lot of times what's lacking in a romance film is realism. People do crazy and scary stuff when they're in love, man, and another one of my favorite scenes in this film is a two-parter. But this scene to me is very cool, not because it's crazy or flashy or anything, but because it's so simple. When Lacey is confessing her love towards Tony, we just see a single close-up of her sometimes cutting back to Tony, and the camera's mildly shaking here and there. It's all very subtle. That scene put me in Lacey's shoes. All the nervousness and all the catharsis of saying something such as "I love you" is accurately shown in that scene. Saying "I love you" is a hard friggin' thing to do, man. And I didn't have the cojones to tell those women that I love them. Maybe that's why we don't talk anymore. Food for thought, eh? And because of scenes such as that, it's a very believable romance between Ellis and Tony, as it's organically built up with good and realistic dialogue. Now, what is a bad romantic relationship on cinema? The prequels of Star Wars, Padme and Anakin, they are telling us that these characters are in love. We are not believing that they're in love. In this film, you believe that Lacey and Tony are in love. Another example of a good relationship would be from the original Star Wars movies, Han Solo and Princess Leia. They are given excellent dialogue to work with. Princess Leia brings that nervousness and innocence, and Han Solo is the scoundrel type character. It's all organic. It's negatives working together to create one positive. The same aspect is done in Brooklyn, as the love and the chemistry between Ellis and Tony is completely believable. But what is a film without conflict? Absolutely nothing. This film picks up its conflict at the beginning of the second act when Lacey has to return home to Ireland as a tragedy occurs in her family. Over there, she kind of falls in love with another man in Domhnall Gleeson, who's in a ton of films nowadays. A fine performance by him as well. He reminds me of a kinda less awkward Cillian Murphy, and like Cillian Murphy, he would make an excellent Scarecrow in a Batman movie. The film kind of slows down in its second act, but that's not the problem I had with this film. The problem I had with this film was when you have such a great 1-2 punch in the relationship between Tony and Lacey, they decide to give us all these cardboard characters, these supporting characters who are living in Ireland, apart from Domhnall Gleeson and Lacey's mother. And Lacey kind of loses all the independence she had found in America. All the character traits she had received, she didn't put them into good use in the second act. And again, it annoys me that these characters are forcing Lacey to stay and Lacey's doing nothing. What is this, the town from Hot Fuzz? Come on. But where that act failed in giving us new and believable characters, it makes up for it by showing us the contrast of living standards between America and Ireland and the public perception of America in other countries, and in this case, Ireland. As the rest of the story is basically Lacey is torn between staying in Ireland or going back home. And again, Saoirse Ronan's bringing it here, man. As you see her with her inner turmoil, she's hiding all the stuff she did in America, all the stuff she can't tell to her family over here. She is fantastic. She is truly the centerpiece of this film and is deserving of recognition for her performance in Brooklyn. I love this film, man. It moved me with its realistic dialogue and its equally realistic feelings on love. 5 out of 5 for Brooklyn. This is one of my favorite films of the year. This is the type of film I would show my girlfriend if I had one. Anyway, people, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this video and if you liked this review, hit that subscribe button and like button, apparently. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to love yourselves.